Welcome to the Unbecoming podcast, where you can join me, Stephanie Baranowski, in an authentic, personal perspective of my expat journey and my many travel adventures. Grab a beverage of your choice, set yourself up in a cozy environment, and be prepared to be inspired. Each episode, I open up my personal narrative of what it's like to unbecome everything you once were in order to become everything you were meant to be. Let's dive in, head first, eyes closed, and a strong cup of faith. May 31st, 2022 was the day that I landed in London. I had traveled by plane, 12-hour plane ride. So I went from Winnipeg to Toronto, from Toronto to London. And in my soul, I was so excited for this journey. I had been preparing for the last year on how to make it happen. I had put so much effort into arranging to sell all my belongings to jump in this adventure. And that was not an easy thing. I lived a very cushy, very bougie life in Winnipeg, this small 700,000 person city, to jump to a nice, big 9 million city in London, to humble myself. And so I had to sell all my belongings. I had to let my parents take care of my dog for me, which was very hard. I've had my dog for 7 years. And to not have him join me on this journey was very heartbreaking. But I knew in my heart and I knew in my soul I needed to do this for myself. I knew that I needed to leave my comfort in order to become uncomfortable so that I can grow. Which is not an easy realization to come to. I just wasn't satisfied with the life I was living. I mean, I was satisfied. It was very cushy. I had a nice routine. I lived in a nice area, a suburban area in Winnipeg. I had a nice car. I had good people in my life, good friends. But there was something within my soul that was telling me that this isn't enough. There's more that I'm supposed to do. There's more that I'm supposed to accomplish and explore. And I'm meant to grow. And I'm meant to grow for a reason. And I'm meant to share my story for a reason. I don't know exactly what that reason is per se, but I do feel like I'm meant to travel and make this leap and live this expat life. So I'm on the plane 12 hours. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. Absolutely no idea. I've never been to London before in my entire life. That's a common question people ask me, both from at home as well as London livers or people from London. And never in my life been to London before this. And so I'm just taking this leap of faith, jumping in head first, and get off this plane, and I have no idea what to expect at all. The only thing I know about London is what I've seen in the movies and what I have, saw through pictures of Big Ben and London Bridge. But I have absolutely no idea about the London culture whatsoever. Completely going into this blind. So I get off the plane. It's chaos in London Airport. If you've never been to London Airport, it's busy, to say the least. You have people going to and from London. You have people traveling through London. London is a port city. So you have people traveling, but also moving here, moving out of London. There's always people coming and going in the city of London. So I grab my luggage. I head to go towards, exiting the airport. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how do I get to my Airbnb? Do I take the tube? And for those of you who don't know what the tube is, it's the equivalent of taking the subway or taking a train. So I'm like, do I take the tube? Do I take an Uber? Do I take a taxi? Which is the most cost effective? Which is the safest? Which will get me there? Well, I'm thinking to myself, I have 2 suitcases that are huge that I'm already struggling to carry and this huge other bag and a purse. Okay, taking the tube is probably not the best idea, especially if I don't know anything in London. Okay, my other options, Uber or the taxi. Okay, well, I learned very fast that Uber actually doesn't go to the London airport. In fact, Uber is banned from going to the London airport. You cannot get an Uber from the London airport. Okay, so my next option is a taxi. So I'm in this taxi looking around out the window and I see everything is dull. Nothing around me looks like anything Canadian related. The buildings are dull. There's no color. It looks dingy. And I'm thinking to myself, what did I just do? Do I get back on a plane and go back home? So I'm driving, getting to my Airbnb. I'm looking around. I'm thinking this to myself. Oh my goodness. But I have my phone in my hands and I'm texting a friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine that just happens to be traveling in London at the same time. So I think to myself, just go meet her. Put this aside, put this thought process aside of, what did I just do? Just go with the moment. So I'm texting her. We're making plans. I say to her, I'm just getting to my Airbnb. Give me a couple hours and I can totally meet up with you. We make plans. I get to my Airbnb, shower, change my clothes, and I'm off towards the city. I've had no hours of sleep. I've had maybe 4 hours of sleep from being on the plane, but I have this energy rushing in through me, this adrenaline that's like, let's get this energy started. Let's get this adventure started. So I jump on the tube and head down to Oxford Street, which is one of the most biggest shopping areas of London that you could be in. So I get off the tube and I look around, and that was my moment of inspiration. I see rows of banners of the UK flag all the way down Oxford Street. I see the double-decker buses drive by me, and I look around and I see the people. And what I noticed was I was the minority. There was so much culture around me. It was so inspiring. And in that moment, although when I first arrived a couple hours beforehand, I had made the decision in my mind that maybe I should go back home. But in that moment was my aha moment. And I realized this is why I need to be here. I need to be here to discover the world around me, to discover a new area of the world, and to understand myself better as a person. It was about 20 minutes after I got onto Oxford Street that I met up with one of my friends. And she was the person that needed to be there in that very moment to ground me into my experience, to encourage me on my path, and to validate the reason why I took the leap of faith to go on this journey. I had been friends with her, since I was in grade 9. And I hadn't talked to her in quite a few years, but the city that I come from, it's a small 700,000 person city. It's kind of like a small town vibe in a big city. And the people there, when you meet people there, you're friends for life. And so connecting with her was necessary. I found comfort in her from having to know somebody familiar in an unfamiliar city, and to have a conversation that completely validated and re-inspired me and encouraged me. And she said to me, Stephanie, you are on a path that some people dream about, but never have the courage to do. Actually, in fact, most people dream about. And the city that we're from, it's very easy to get sucked into that culture of comfort and of routine and things being the same. And you have done what most people are too afraid to do, which is jump from the comfort to putting yourself in an uncomfortable position that is only going to benefit you and help grow you. And the things that you are going to learn when you are here are going to be unimaginable. It's things you cannot read in a textbook, and it's things that you cannot learn from Hollywood. These things that you're going to learn and discover by being here are going to be unbelievable. And the city that you have landed in is going to give you so much opportunity. And I just sat there listening to her speak. And as she was speaking, in my head, I was nodding. Yeah, no, she's right. On so many levels, she is right. This is necessary for me to grow as a person, but not only to grow, but to rediscover myself. So we're walking down the streets of Oxford, in and out of common shops that we know and new shops that we don't know. And we turn a corner. And the coolest thing about London is just when you think you've discovered an area and you're like, yeah, I get it. You turn a corner and it's like Diagon Alley opens up in Harry Potter. You open up to a whole new area. You see many more shops. You see many more pubs. You see many more people. We walked into a pub and I sat down with her and had my first moment of fish and chips over a good conversation. And one of the conversations that popped up was the idea of me going on a dating app. And she's like, Steph, you should really put yourself on a dating app. And in that moment, I was like, I don't think so. I don't know if that's for me. I'm here. I just need to ground myself. I just need to get myself settled here. And then maybe I'll think about it. And she said, no. Really think about it. Because this might be an opportunity for you to meet new people and to see different areas of London going out on these dates. Okay, she did have, a good perspective there. I do see where she's coming from. That does make a lot of sense. Okay, you've convinced me. I will go on a dating app. So I put myself on this dating app when I first got there. And yeah, I connected with a few people, but there was one person that really stuck out for me. And over the 7 months that I've been here, we met a couple times. And the amazing thing was I connected with this person who had these incredible talents and this really cool, incredible career. And I would have never met him had I not put myself on a dating app. But I'm glad I did. Because when I was talking to him, he had lived a life prior to and understood what I was going through when I moved to London. And I had a moment of being understood, and I had a moment of feeling supported by a complete stranger on a whole different level than what my friends and family could do from their end from being back at home. And it was exactly what I needed to stay. Had I not met this person, I don't think I would have stayed. I'm pretty sure I probably would have had like a really nice extended vacation and then gone back home. But because this person connected with me on a different level, and we didn't always have the deepest conversations all the time, but it was deep enough for me to feel understood in what I was going through. And so 7 months later, nothing romantic happened from it, and we've become good friends, which I am ever so grateful for this person walking into my life, as they have taught me many, many lessons, and that I didn't think that I would learn, and I didn't know I was learning at the time, but now I see that I've learned. And so that was a blessing in disguise, was meeting this person off this dating app of all things, and having them come into my life to again encouraged me to stay here. So I didn't last very long on this dating app. I closed it down pretty fast because, I have a whole other perspective on dating apps and whether or not that's organic or not. And I really like meeting people organically more than anything. But also part of me was like, am I ready for dating? Or should I get myself settled here, get myself grounded? And I think that was my main focus, was Well, what was my focus in even coming here in the first place? What was to learn and to grow and to discover myself anew? And was I going to do that by meeting new people off a dating app and trying to get myself into a romantic relationship? I mean, on some level, maybe. But I think what I really needed was to settle myself in a home environment, work environment, and routine here to really feel like I was living here, not just vacationing. So I took myself off the dating app. That wasn't important to me. What was important was getting grounded and discovering. So I did that. Was there tears? Of course there was tears. I spent the entire first week being in London, every single night, crying myself to sleep. I miss my friends. I miss my dog. I miss my family. And that very first week was so hard for me. I remember thinking to myself, do I just invest in just a plane ticket home? And I had to remind myself of the conversation I had with my dad before I even went through the whole process of getting my visa in order to be here. I'd had a conversation with my dad. We had gone out for lunch. He had come over for lunch. I had made him lunch. And my dad came over and I said to my dad, Dad, I don't think Winnipeg is for me in this portion of my life. I'm not meant to be in Winnipeg. I don't know where I'm supposed to be, but all I know is I'm not meant to be here right now. And I said, I think I'm either thinking about moving back to Vancouver because I love the city of Vancouver. I have family there. I've lived there once before, and I love the culture. I love the style of living there. Or do I move to London, England? Because my grandmother was born here in England, and I have this amazing opportunity to be able to move here on an ancestry visa. So I said this to my dad. I said, Dad, do I move to Vancouver or do I move to London? And my dad looked at me and he said, you've already done Vancouver. You're not going to grow there. Go to London. What's the worst that can come from it? You come back home? You don't know until you try. And in that moment, I was like, yeah, okay, Dad. And I'm nodding my head. It took me a whole full minute to just sit there and absorb. Then I looked at my dad and I said, okay, let's get some names written down. Let's start this process of getting the visa. I need to get some documentation in order to get this visa. And the process started from there. And so I had to remind myself of this conversation I had with my dad and the support of growth that my family has had for me as I moved through these different decisions that I've gone through in my life. And has my dad always agreed with my decisions? Probably not. If you had a very in-depth conversation with my dad, I'm sure he would say, yeah, I probably would not have agreed with that decision. But my family lets me make my own choices, and I'm forever grateful of that. And my family has encouraged me, even in times when they didn't want to, they still have. And it's made me the person I am today, to have the courage to be able to dive into the adventure, really. I like to look at my upbringing and my family situation. It's not been perfect by any means. I mean, there's lots of ups and downs in my family, but I would say that I have a very secure attachment with my parents, and especially my dad. I have a very secure attachment where my family has really let me explore my environment and let me discover who I am. And me diving into London living is me not just discovering who I am, but letting go of who I was in order to rediscover who I am. So I like to use the analogy of a baby being born from the womb, because literally that's exactly what the expat life is. You are a baby being reborn from the womb. Your eyes are open to your surroundings anew and in awe. And you're looking around at all the different colors and shapes And you're trying to figure out, do I walk, do I run, or do I play here? And how do I walk? How do I run? And how do I play in this new environment? And who am I in this environment? Where do I fit? Where do I belong? You really are rediscovering yourself from a whole new perspective of new. As you let go of everything you've ever known, the lifestyle you've ever known, the people, the things, the surroundings, to plant yourself in a whole new place where you know no one. You're rediscovering what it's like to live, to eat, and to breathe. That's the best way I know how to explain it, really. But it's humbling. It's humbling to let go of the comfort and put yourself in an uncomfortable position. It forces you to learn how to become comfortable with the uncomfortable on such a grand scale. And yeah, there's moments where in the past I've had to put myself in uncomfortable positions to become comfortable with it, such as when you start off a new job, or you meet new friends in a new environment, or you dive into a new course and learn a new skill. But this is different on a whole other level. You really are and do have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable on many different levels. So I'm really excited to share my journey, my lessons learned, and my stories with everyone about this expat journey because it is so unique. And I truly believe that travel is the best form of education. And this is coming from an educator. I'm a trained teacher. The best form of education is through travel, but not that surfacey like travel, where you go to a new place and you do all the tourist attractions and you eat from the restaurants that are recommended, but you dive deeper underneath that surface. You dive deeper into understanding what the culture is like of the city. What are the politics like? What are the economics like? The good and the bad of this city, of this geographical location, and how does it fit in the grander scale of the world? And who are you as a person in this grander scale? How can you do your due diligence to participate in helping the world? How can you do your due diligence to become a better person, a better version of yourself as you navigate these difficult situations and you're come face to face with the realities of the world? And you can only discover that by putting yourself out there into the world. And that's what the expat life is all about. It's a very solo journey of getting really comfortable with your own self. It's not an easy thing to do. So some topics that I'll talk about in the future that you can look forward to are things such as the process of getting my visa, the paperwork involved, what support looks like both on the Winnipeg side of home, of Canada, and what the support looks like on the side of London, as well as other deeper topics such as what it's like to teach here in London as a school teacher, what the school system looks like versus what the school system in Canada looks like, and some of the politics that I've come face to face with that's different in Canada. So you can look forward to some of those deeper topics, as well as my growth pattern that's happened and that is happening along my journey. So stay tuned. I will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure you hit that subscribe button to make sure you get those notifications for new episodes that come out. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Much, much gratitude.